points for one team, 21 points for the other. They could probably get close to 50 total points scored. But I'm going to take the Cardinals on the road. They're going to go into the black hole and come out with a little bit of something.
The New York Giants travel to the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys are the surprise of the year. I said the Bills were one of the biggest surprises. The Cowboys are the surprise of the year. They're 5-1. The defense it may not be lights out, but they're playing better than anybody ever could have hoped they would. And that you just tip your cap to Rod Marinelli. The Giants on the other side of the ball started out slow, and then they started to come around, and we thought they were clicking, and everyone felt comfortable with them, and then they go out and lay a dud, losing to the Philadelphia Eagles 27-0. Victor Cruz gone for the year. Odell Beckham steps into the lineup. Your starting wide receivers, Giants fans, are Odell Beckham Jr. and Ruben Randle. Better hope ODB is all he's cracked up to be. With that being said, they're going to Dallas. Dallas is on a roll, and until they deviate from their current plan of attack of running the ball, I have no problem picking Dallas at home, and neither do you, apparently.
Yeah, if the Chargers are the hottest team in football, then the Dallas Cowboys are the second hottest team in football. They have the number 4 scoring offense in the league, averaging 27.5 points per game. If you had told me that was what this team was going to do when the season started, I would have said, really? What? But they are. DeMarco Murray should have one of the best outings this week. I know that the Giants don't necessarily give up a bunch of yardage rushing to the position, but they're number 5 in terms of fantasy points, and they've given up a total of 7 TDs to date to the position. Obviously, you got to like Des Bryant, Terrence Williams against a defense that's, I want to say, number 5 in most fantasy points allowed. In reference to Tony Romo, they're about number 4, number 6 in most fantasy points allowed. Jason Witten makes for a decent play. You may not get a score from him, but you're looking for 75, 80 yards. He's your guy. And even the Dallas Cowboys defense, they're tough to play in fantasy because they're not getting all the types of turnovers and things of that nature that you like. But after what happened last week with the Giants, I think you can roll with them as a low-end option. It's definitely as a low-end option. For the Giants, I would avoid at all costs Eli Manning. Besides the Cowboys being number 2 against the position, the reality is Eli Manning had one of the worst games I think we'll ever see a quarterback have, and it's just not the kind of game that you necessarily want to start him the following week. Andre Williams, it was not a very good outing, and if this game gets out of hand, he may not see the field enough to get enough touches. You could use him as a flex, but it's one of those that you just cross your fingers and hope. Ruben Randle and Odell Beckham, I like, but I don't like them. I like them because with Victor Cruz gone, there's only 2 real options for Eli Manning, which bodes well for them. But I don't like them in this Cowboys defense. So if you're looking at either of them, look at them as wide receiver 3s. But the one giant I do like is Larry Donnell. For some reason, the Cowboys don't mind giving it up to the tight end, and they give it the second most fantasy points, almost 13 fantasy points allowed, and that's in non-PPR leagues. You add in the PPR, and we're probably talking more around 20. The Cowboys, I think, will be 6-1 after this weekend.
Wow.
Jerry Jones, doesn't he look brilliant now? I mean, to most people, they're going to think, oh, Jerry, he masterfully pulled this all together. And
Nope, I'll never go there. Go there.
Yeah.
And now here we go. The 49ers travel. San Francisco 49ers travel to the Denver Broncos. The Broncos, some guy named Peyton Manning. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's their quarterback. And he's pretty good, even though I have some. I know you don't agree with me, Jim, but I have some questions about his ability to put some zip on the ball. And the 49ers defense is the kind of defense that can make him pay. I don't know if they will. I'm going to pick the 49ers in this game, but they can. Regardless of stats, the 49ers and Broncos, I think they're only separated by 3 spots in the rankings as far as points allowed. When you look at, and my favorite sabermetric site, Pro Football Focus, the 49ers have the second highest rated overall defense and the best pass coverage units. So I think this is a upset special in the making. And even though they're at home, I am going to pick the 49ers to beat the Broncos.
And, I don't know how you come up with that, but okay. I'm going to take the Broncos. I think that at home, they're certainly a force to be reckoned with. And I think, quite frankly, they can just outscore that 49ers defense, which has had a suspect secondary. It'll be a shootout. Both teams I think, are going to put up some serious fantasy points. And I think you pretty much start all your guys, obviously, for the Broncos, Manning, Thomas, Sanders. Ronnie Hillman can even be in this game because after last week, after what he did to the number 2 rushing defense, rushed 24 times for 100 yards. I'm behind Ronnie Hillman. I think you need to start him. Wes Welker, you could probably still look at him as a wide receiver 3, but if you survived without him for that good stretch of time and did well, there's no reason why you couldn't bench him until he gets himself back into this offense. And for the 49ers, Kaepernick, Crabtree, Bolden, Davis, and Frank Gore, get them all in. I think it's a tough matchup for him because the Broncos have only in total given up 12 TDs. But I also think that they're a team that, after last week, what we saw, they're a team that can put up the big score and put up the big game, but I just can't see them beating the Broncos at home. Broncos win.
I cannot wait. Oh, my God, I hope I'm right. I cannot wait.
Buck up, baby.
Folks, if the 49ers win, you're not going to want to miss 87 Sports Fans Live on Monday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Just going to throw that out there.
87sportsfans.com.
That's so bad. Oh, that's so bad. But hey, thanks. Houston Texans travel to the Pittsburgh Steelers on Monday night. The Steelers, who have suddenly lost the ability to score. And I'll tell you what it coincides with is when I made the trade in my fantasy league for Le'Veon Bell. And the Houston Texans, who are 3-3 and seriously can't get out of their own way. They were down big last week to Indianapolis, fought all the way back, only to fumble it away on back-to-back possessions in the second half. The Steelers are at home. The Texans are slightly better on defense, slightly actually scoring a little bit more points on average on offense. This game could be a crapshoot, but you know what? When Arian Foster is right, he's pretty good. And when in a game like this, God, I wish Ben Roethlisberger was going to be the difference maker. I really wish he would, but I don't really think that he's going to be. And Jim, I know you agree, but I don't know if you have different reasoning. I think Houston is just really the better team right now, and they're going to win this game on the road.
I tend to agree with you that Houston has the better team right now, but I also think this is going to be a great Monday night battle. Here are two teams that they're a little fairly evenly matched, and what I find surprising is the Steelers' defense. I know I've heard them poo-hooed by way too many people as being too old, being less than impactful, but you look at their numbers, and against the quarterback position, they're number 3. Against the wide receiver position, they're number 7. That tells you something. I mean, they may not be the king of the hill of interceptions or turnovers, but they're at least limiting their opponents. And they're only giving up 23 points per game, which might sound like a lot, but it ranks them number 19 in the league. That means there's quite a few teams below them. You look over at the Texans, and they're at 20 points allowed, and just those 3 points put them at number 4. So I could see, this ended up being a low to low medium scoring game where we actually see some big plays being made by the big playmakers, and where guys like Arian Foster actually make a huge difference. To me, Arian Foster is a top start in this game. I think you start Andre Johnson because he's been at least pretty rock steady in terms of yardage, not TDs, but you still start him. You start the Texans defense because this week is truly a light week for defenses. There's not many that have top plays. And I think the Texans have enough in terms of their personnel to make you feel comfortable that they can do something. Definitely start Le'Veon Bell, start Antonio Brown. I like Ben Roethlisberger as a low-end option, and I like Keith Miller because this is a big game for him, and the Steelers are going to need him. But in the end, with that defense, being a bunch of playmakers, I've got to take the Texans on the road.
I can't believe we're at that place with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I really can't. I can't believe
it's a crossroads. It's a crossroads.
I know, but still.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I want your opinion. I'm trying to find it in my league here because there was a trade, and I don't think it's been processed yet. So I'm gonna have to look for it here. But I called it. We have a Facebook message group for the league that I'm in, and I was calling it a trape. Do you know what a trape is? If I said it.
Excuse me?
In fantasy football, do you know what a trape is?
A trade?
A trape with a P on the end. Trape.
No, I can't say that I do.
It's trade rape, is what it is.
Oh, jeez.
And which is the only
awful. That's terrible.
The only kind of rape that we can even discuss. Sorry, Jameis Winston. Where is it?
Take that back. Take that back.
Oh,
Take
come
that
on!
back.
No one. It's trade rape when somebody freaking gives up way too much, and we have the ability to overrule it in my league, but I don't think anybody's really going to do that because they don't want to inflict negative karma on themselves. And I can't find it, so I'm building it up, and I'm not going to be able to explain it to you, which is just annoying. Damn it.
So, hey, let me then interject. One of the things that I was alluding to in that last game about how, in terms of the overall week, you only probably had half a dozen defenses that were solid starts, in my opinion, where, let's say, the other 26, it's a little bit more hit or miss. On the quarterback end, it's much better. There are a lot of solid starts this week for quarterbacks. That's why guys like Matt Ryan and Drew Brees, even though in tough matchups, if you have somebody that is just solid, or you might have somebody that really you look at him and go, like, for example, let's say you had Drew Brees and Phillip Rivers. You would be nuts not to start Phillip Rivers this week. Nuts. In fact, I think you're nuts not to start Phillip Rivers every single week.
I don't understand because, like, in our league, Phillip Rivers lasted till way late in the draft. Like, nobody had any idea he was going to be this good, and all of a sudden,
I don't understand that. Last year, he pulled it all back together. He was solid. I had him in one league. He got me to a championship game, and everybody just poo-hooed him. And I didn't think he was a top 5 consideration. So the level of his play has been absolutely impressive and surprising, but the reality is, to think that he would be a backup. I mean, two of my leagues, I drafted him as a backup. My wife drafted him as a backup in her 2 leagues.
I'm telling you,
couldn't believe
it. He's the unappreciated genius. I'm telling you.
Well, he's a guy that gets the job done. It's a little fanfare. He just wants to win. They just want to make the playoffs. They just want to go to the Super Bowl.
Like 4 or 5 years ago, though, he was the best quarterback in the league. He's had seasons. He's had spots where he's been that good. Everyone just forgets about him. I don't get it. All right, so I found the information. So our buddy Steve.
Please tell me about this trade.
I know. Our buddy Steve is giving up Alshon Jeffrey and a 4th-round pick. This is a dynasty league, by the way. Alshon Jeffrey and a 4th-round pick in exchange for Lamar Miller, Ruben Randle, and a 1st-round pick.
Oh wow, I like the Lamar Miller, Ruben Randle, and 1st-round pick. That's pretty good.
Yeah, but giving up Alshon Jeffrey, the dude's and Steve's at 500 right now. He's not setting the world on fire, and he's not 0-4, so where he's got to rebuild.
Well, look, I mean, I think that 1st-round pick is something that is very enticing. Ruben Randle's in a good place because he now suddenly becomes the number 1 wide receiver for the Giants. And Lamar Miller is right now a top-notch running back. I don't know his roster situation. I suppose if you put it that way, it sounds a little quirky, but I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be against it.
I don't like Ruben Randle, and I don't think Lamar Miller is all that, even with Nishan Moreno.
Oh, but see, that's your opinion.
Yeah,
I think the thing that people look. No, but when people look at trades, they forget to just say, look, here are 2 people. For some reason, this individual thinks this is good. Some reason, this person thinks it's good. And all you need to look at is make sure that it's not too one-sided to become unreasonable. Is it too one-sided? No. Could it be a little one-sided? Sure.
Right. Well, that's the whole point.
But it's not too one-sided.
I know.